Only Human Radio.
Note to self, stop being annoying, note to self, stop being... Oh, hello, good evening everybody, how are you? Is everybody well?
Yeah.
I was just doing a little bit of self-coaching. I read it in a book.
Did you wake up this morning, draw back the curtains and shout, "Today is going to be my day"?
You've been sitting in my drive again?
Yeah. I love it when you throw back those curtains. The sight is amazing.
I know, but it is odd.
It's one of my favourite things.
You sit there in a wheelbarrow in your pyjamas, and it is a little bit unnerving when I throw back the curtains in the morning and you sat there smoking your pipe, sat in your pyjamas in that wheelbarrow.
With a bit of compost underneath me.
Yeah.
It takes me ages to get there as well. It takes my wife ages to wheel me to your place from Chester. We have to set off about 1:30.
And it was a chilly morning this morning as well. She looked worn out.
She was. Anyway, are you all right?
Yeah, very well. Yeah, very well indeed. Next time, could you bring a flask of tea for me as well? I saw you brought one for yourself, sat there on the drive. But, think of yourself, not anybody else, Andy. That's the usual way, isn't it?
I thought you were above tea these days. I thought you transcended tea.
Well, I do, to be honest with you. I don't like to mix my drinks, so I tend to stick to the alcohol. Which seems to suit me considerably better in these strange times. Because I'm out of lockdown, you're back in lockdown, Andy.
I know. I can't, but I'm still at work, so it's all the rubbish bits. So I get locked in my house, but I'm allowed to go to work. How good is that?
I know, it should be... I need to say it should be the way around, probably shouldn't. I don't know. It is a bit odd, isn't it? But I'm a celebrity, get me out here, just down the road. It's all very exciting. So just hoping Andy and Deck might pop round for a cup of tea and a ginger beer or something one night. It's not happened yet.
Yeah. No.
Don't think it's going to.
Well, do you know, we've got someone with us tonight, haven't we?
We've
been a bit rude.
We have.
We've ignored him. We've ignored him. He's sitting here patiently.
I'm feeling left out.
I've been building up and I've been trying to work out whether you were Ant or Deck, Rob.
Am I Ant or Deck? I'm not sure. I can never tell the two apart, if I'm honest with you.
I'd say Deck because you're good on the decks. Can you see what I've done there?
Very good. Which one's had to take a bit of time out?
I think that was. I think that was Ant.
Okay, right. I still don't know which one Ant is, so
he's the one
can't really help
driving.
You.
Yeah.
Well, Ant is on the left and Deck is on the right. That's how you remember.
Unless they're behind you.
Really? I didn't know that. That's...
They always stand the same way round.
Right. Even if you're behind them.
No.
This must be fascinating listening. This is the sort of talk people tune in for. They wait weeks for this to come along, just for this sort of thing. And you can understand why, can't you? And that's why I won't mention the award yet, Andy. That's why we're up for that new award. We'll bring that up later. It's very, very exciting.
Good.
And also, we'll perhaps talk a little bit about the Christmas special coming up as well a little bit later. We might even have special guests on the Christmas special. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. There's all sorts of things could happen. Anyway, we do have a fantastic evening of entertainment for you tonight, rather than us just rambling absolute rubbish. We have got Rob Dixon with us this evening. Rob, are you well?
I'm very good, thank you. Yes, very well.
Good. Good.
Out of lockdown, like your good self, just down the road. So
yeah. And you were showing us before. You've made copious notes for the evening. Perhaps too many notes, if anything.
Absolutely.
Rob.
Yeah, reams and reams of them.
And we have got some very exciting things on tonight, Andy, as well, haven't we? You've been scouring round.
Yeah. Well, we've got some absolutely fantastic, as usual. We've got our hands on some absolutely great things. Some things from the Only Human community. Some things that Rob's familiar with from his Modulate TV and yourself, obviously.
Indeed.
We've got Rob. What is tune? Rob's going to do the Gear Geek tonight. What is it, Rob? What we doing?
It's the Poly-N tracker.
The Poly-N tracker.
The Poly-N tracker, indeed.
Now, I've researched this a little bit, and I've started to realise that I have got a rival machine. I believe. I think some of the reviews I read said that a very close cousin of the Polyend tracker was the Electron Digitact.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, Rob's going to disagree.
We'll duel it out later. Yeah.
All right.
That sounds like a argument.
We've got some lovely music on. We've got some new stuff by Def Neon. We've got an exclusive by Chester musician Lifeform. We've got a cracking Master Blaster, my new friends, Equinoxx.
Friend of the stars. Look at that.
I know. They sent me. I showed you the message they sent me, didn't I?
You did.
It said, "Thanks for your support,
Stop contacting
Andy."
us. Yeah. You do know we've got a restraining order.
Yeah. But yeah, there's some great stuff on tonight. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Dead chuffed with it.
And we're starting off, we always start off on a high. I mean, you pick these very well, Andy, because you always pick out something which has got a bit of pace to kick off with, and we usually have a little bit of pace to end off with. And again, you've started off with something with a really nice piece of pace on here. So this is somebody you found from Stockholm. I can't do the accent.
Well, it's Primitive System. I think this might be the third tune of his that we've played. He does listen to the show. We promote the Only Human Gmail account. Well, he sent us a few tunes, and he sent us a couple more. This is another absolute stonker. Now, I'm assuming, I don't want to assume, but all of the tunes so far he sent us have been made on iPhones, if you remember.
Oh, yes, of course.
Now, I don't know if this one is any different. I don't want to guess, but my assumption would be, because sonically it has the similar flavour to some of the other ones that we've played.
Yeah.
I would say that it could possibly be another iPhone tune. But this has got some beautiful sequencing in it. I love it. Burbly synth sequencing.
Burbly is a great word for it. It's got, if anything felt 80s, this feels 80s. All I could see was cars with digital dashboards everywhere when I was listening to this. I was sitting inside an Austin Montego with a digital dashboard with my arm out the window thinking I'm the coolest guy in town. That's exactly what I was thinking.
I remember those. They were terrible.
They were awful. But that's no comparison to the song. It was just the era. That's the way it was. And they also brought out a pedal bike which had a digital dashboard at the centre. I don't even remember that. My God, did I want one of those bikes. Oh, no, good Lord, I was extraordinary.
I don't remember the 80s. I was too young. There's no way I remember the 80s.
Oh, thanks for that, Andy. Right, we'll skip by that. How did you find the song, Rob? I've gone right off, Andy.
No, I really enjoyed it. I think the bass sound in it was what captured me. Real kind of growling, driving bass that kind of comes in and carries the tune through. So I thought it was excellent.
Yeah, it was superb. What I've tried to do to carry on the annoying tradition of matching up some kind of, anything you can buy from somewhere with a song. So this evening I've put cans of pop or soft drinks against them, but also with a dictator drinking that drink. Now I've tried to do it for something from the era, but it hasn't worked every single time. The first one's not too bad, I think. So this is Saddam Hussein drinking a Tab Clear. But let's just see what everybody else thinks. So this is Primitive System, The Inverted.
Only Human Radio.
How good was that? Were you in the 80s as well with a digital dashboard? Or was it just me?
Yeah, well, no, I was only about 3 in the 80s.
Well, you were sat in the back in your child's chair then.
I just wanted a grifter. I wanted a grifter in the 80s. Never got one though.
Oh, they were heavy. They were too heavy. If you hit the curb on one of those, you were a goner.
Yeah, and the integrated 3-gear system was always flawed.
Yeah, was it handle shift?
I think it was. It was a gripper 3-gear.
At least had gears.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, that is true.
Nah.
Mine had no gears and panniers on the back. It wasn't a good look.
But that was nice. But you made lots of friends at school with that.
Absolutely.
Did you used to put your 10,000 word essays in there?
No.
Oh dear mate. But anyway, that was Primitive System with the inverted, and that was superb. Thank you very much indeed. As always, a superb song. And if that was made on an iPhone again, that's astonishing. It would be great to know, actually, if that was made on an iPhone or not. So we got some... we got all sorts of amazing things coming. Did I mention, Andy? So, we were saying the other week that we hadn't heard back from Gary Newman.
Well, I know you've been pestering him since the summer.
Yeah. So, we didn't get an email, but on all the emails I've been pestering him with, I've been putting my mobile number at the bottom. So he's not emailed back. But yesterday morning, voice message... Pick it up, Gary Newman.
No,
honestly, I swear to you.
I know you had a surprise for tonight, but I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, well there we go. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, too right.
Yeah, there we go. Let me see if we can just get my phone up here and I'll play it. Here we go.
Hello, boys. This is Gary Newman. Rock star and electronica, So anyway, I was listening to the show the other week, and I did hear you're a little bit disappointed that I hadn't been in touch subsequent to your email. So I thought I would drop you a little note and just say hello. I've been very busy. I've been jamming out with John Hopkins, so I've been a little bit too busy to reply to your email. I'm so sorry. I've actually got John popping round this afternoon to do a little bit of jamming. Is that? Oh, that might be him now. I think that's John now. John, is that you? Yeah, right, Gary. John, well done. So we're jamming out this afternoon with John's Rolf Harris stylophone. We don't mention the Rolf Harris bit anymore, which is a shame because it was a signed edition. And also with my Volker samples. So it's going to be quite a session. I forgot the stylophone, Gary. What's that, John? You've forgotten the stylophone? Well, you ruddy idiot. How are we supposed to do anything like that now? We can't be jamming out to Howard Jones if we haven't got that. Well, I'll have to improvise. What are you going to improvise with, John? An egg cup? You ruddy idiot. You can't improvise with an egg cup, John. That's just not going to work. I'm going to have a look in my drawer of delights and see what I've got. I might have a kazoo. Well, boys, I'm going to have to go and sort this out with John, so we'll speak again soon. I'm very sorry, Gary. You might be sorry, John. You might be sorry.
So there you go, Gary Newman. That wasn't left well with John Hopkins there either, was it? I don't know what's going to happen there.
Because, I thought it was going to be a message. I didn't realise that he was actually going to sort of record part of his life and send it to you. I mean, how lucky is that John Hopkins was there at exactly the right moment?
I know, just popping in the door. I know, forgetting his Rolf Harris stylophone.
Yeah.
Expecting to do something on an egg cup. Extraordinary stuff. Maybe that will come back. Maybe it won't, Andy. Who knows? Let's see. Probably more likely it won't. Moving on, we've now got something. Well, we've got a beautiful collaboration. We've got our good old friend Dave Julian, who's playing with Amos, and they're playing together as Synchronicity.
That's
with
right.
the song Taboo. So, and this is really a genuinely brilliant song, isn't it?
This song almost didn't happen, and another name that we bring up very regularly. I've only been drinking tea. Matthew Garnett. Rob, you know a bit more about this. This was 2 videos, wasn't it? How did this come together?
I think so. It was. I think they were wanting to come together and do it just as the first lockdown.
Yeah.
Hadn't they jammed it round Dave's house?
They've been
previous.
working on it for ages. You know, Dave. Nothing's done in a hurry, is it? And
No.
And then they couldn't get together, and Dave was a bit downhearted because he said he had this belt in tune and whatever, couldn't get together to do it. So, put me in touch with Matt and said, is there any way that if they both did a video, you could do your magic with it and, sync it up and create the tune?
Because basically the audio from this, I mean, this is not its original format, is it? It was actually 2 videos that were basically spliced together, wasn't it? So we've got the audio of that.
Yeah, Dave did the audio first and did a live. I think he did a live recording of the audio. So we've got a video of him doing that, and then I think Ryan Amos he did a 1-take rap over the top of it. So we've got the video of that as well, and then Matt did the editing together. In whatever magic Matt uses, and created this song. So, I mean, they were both buzzing about it because it came from like just thinking this tune wasn't going to happen to having this, and it's just an absolute blinder of a tune.
It is. It's a great mix of because Amos's rapping it's like quite a fast pace to it, and it's real proper in there rapping, and then Dave's music is really beautifully slow and almost orchestral in the background. It's the mix of the two was really unusual, but it works well.
Those strings are lovely on it, aren't they? He handles those like a pro skills string bloke.
He does, Andy. It's beautifully put.
The timing, I think the rapping is double time to the music. So,
is it?
Yeah. So I think that's what Ryan said. Right. Anyway, I didn't fully understand it. Never mind conceive of how you actually do that in time over the top of it. But the other thing is, like Dave, I mean, his beats always hit so hard as well, don't they? Just drum sounds are just so crisp and clear, aren't they?
Yeah, we interviewed Ryan about this, and I think I remember him saying that he did the rapping over a version of this that Dave sent him. Then he sent it back, and then Dave redid it to match up perfectly with the rap, I think. So I think Dave did, from memory anyway, I think Dave did 2 versions of the song. The first one to help Ryan actually do the rapping, and then the second one to match perfectly with the rap as it was done. I think, anyway, from memory.
Hopefully Dave will be on, when this goes out on YouTube, Dave will be on the live feed. He'll be able to fill us in.
Absolutely. I'm sure he will.
That sounds feasible. That sounds doable.
He'll be filling you in, Andy. Bloody
hell.
Shall we have a listen? It really is an amazing piece of music. Dave Julian and Amos playing as Synchronicity with Taboo. I'll just leave you with Galtieri drinking an old Jamaica ginger beer.
Check. Dave Julian Amos Taboo. Splash the pan with massive man. Add the picture pizzazz to my disaster dance. Last chance saloon special board requires a cash advance and enough room to swing a reptile core. Island resorts where they're letting out convicts. A trial kept affordable for £10 pomp frites. Terratown tonics topping up the mother's ruin. She never found solace in the confidence grouping. Undercover truant, hide from the lecturer. My government pseudo prompt silence from the register. Diamonds are forever in the heat of the moment. Her Highness and the Emperor compete for the throne in complete comfort zones. Some condemned, the seat becomes obsolete. Overthrown by thumbs waggling. Pump action, shotgun, wedding corpse. Release the rum, cracking and crack on with that machete to force. Petrified lords, stewing on elephant's tusk. Served up with 5 courses on my roof terrace at dusk. The temperature's just right for a lap around the circuit. But the engines are bust, so I'm napping on the verges. Scrapping for first dibs on his famous last words. Trapping an urchin in a stainless glass church. She paid the cash surplus, didn't wait for change. She let her bag from the furnace after spitting on his grave. Forget the human the fade. Her fingernails filthy, rigging up the slaves on a ship that sails swiftly. Innocents made guilty, close the book and watch Casper fade. In a sense his injuries overlooked at the masquerade. How many months to vaccinate with foaming canines? Send them to outpatients, once we've dosed their main line. Hopes remain high, I left my day pack in the trenches. But it's okay, right? I've clipped back on expenses to boot. But the flashing cam, so he keeps his queens tied up in elastic bands. She wants dramatic sands, endless aqua, only to retreat to a lavish grand bed of drachma. He fled the tatless, heart-wrenching injustice and said, I'll tread the atlas while you're half-stepping with online footprints. She confides in the courage of an ostentatious Bartam, non-spinal sutures up against the charming crab. Lost his way, can't go back, new turns prohibited. The tattoo on his palm flank, you must learn to live with it, pale with insignificance. Because that person in the mirrors never looks so fucking unfamiliar. Jutting out peninsula, begin the wild goose chase. Compass perpendicular, smile spread across two faces. How do we escape this overflowing toilet and replace the wine list with the most potent of poisons? From romance to points again, history repeats. Only then the soul's destroyed and bliss becomes so bleak. She kissed him on the cheek and the tarot card clearing. Now he visits the speakeasy till he's hard of hearing. A bizarrely weird thing, high-fiving mindless yet rather endearing. When you're skydiving with pilots deprived of the mileage, grounded in a blink. If they survive with the virus, I vows to let them in to my house is made of pins, hanging by a thread. I'll be drowning 18 gin and banging in your bed. It's all slang, that's what she said. Ignorant to deep thought, tangled in a web of deceit. Finally she's being caught, it's freeze for damp attire. Hibernation hazardous, he keeps warm by campfires, lit with expired calendars. That's why my time is skewed. Don't know whether to tie my shoes or retire from this typhoon to my Tyler Goon to boot. Shouts to Dave Julian. Shouts to the only human movement. Peace.
Only Human Radio.
That was Etchasketch, Rye Point. Amazing sampling Welsh. You're probably wondering why we had Corona Pop in there, because the Corona truck used to come around in Wales. And then Rob's just said, well, it used to come around in Leeds as well. But I thought it was only Wales. But perhaps it just came around the whole country. I don't know.
What, want the same truck?
Well, I don't know. I haven't got all the answers, Andy. I don't have all the answers. I've got some. Oh, you put me under so much pressure.
Well, you picked Pop. You'd think that, and pop and soft drinks, you'd think you'd be a bit of a authority on it, really.
Well, or at least done some research prior to the show. Yeah, you're right. You're right there. Anyway, it was a wonderful song from Rob. Thank you very much, Rob.
Yeah, it's ace, that was. Cracking.
It's a real beauty, Rye Point. And there is a Welsh sample in there.
There is.
And I don't speak Welsh as much as I should do, because I went to school in Wales and learnt Welsh, but I can't remember any of it.
Neither do
and
I.
Country dancing.
Yeah.
And country dancing. Thank you for bringing that up, Andy.
Yeah. You're not going to ask me what the sample says, are you? 'Cause,
yeah.
I don't know.
Where's it from?
So the track has got a built-in sampler that samples from FM radio.
The radio.
Yeah.
Right.
So without wanting to get too much into the Gear Geek Corner section, but as you'll well know, FM signals in North Wales, Jules, aren't particularly well populated.
No.
So the only real thing it tunes into is Radio Cymru, which limits the sampling options somewhat. But I was just playing around with it, and I heard this voice, and it's just a lovely kind of tone to what this guy was saying. No idea what it was, but 2:30 in the afternoon on a Sunday, I figured it wasn't going to be anything too controversial, so sampled it.
So why the name Rye Point? Or was he making a right point in Welsh?
He could have been making a right point, but the PULS8 tracker has this brilliant feature where it'll assign a random name to any sample or song that you're doing, so you can just keep generating random names. So I'm rubbish at naming songs, so it's probably the best feature of the whole thing, actually. It saves you having to name anything.
We're not allowed to get onto the PULS8 tracker yet. That's after the song, Rob. You're getting ahead of yourself. You're overexcited.
You're the one asking the questions.
Oh, that's true. Andy, do you want to take over quickly then? How did you find it?
Right point. I thought it was. It didn't have your usual chaos going on. I put uncharacteristically ordered in a way.
I thought you were going to be horrible. It's like,
oh, steady on. I'll tell you what, you get invited on.
Andy said it.
He didn't say it, actually. He said something nice.
No, he was trying to say it.
No, I wasn't. It's because from Rob, you usually can expect some kind of anarchy, some kind of element of random noise bursts, whatever.
Modular madness that is unconstrained.
Modular mayhem is usually what I've come to expect from Rob. I see his modular in like a tiger's cage, and it's sort of chasing him round. He's trying to fend it off with a big whip or something. Maybe that's just a dream I had once. I don't know. But
as much as I've just reprimanded Rob for starting to talk about his PULS8 tracker, was it the tracker that kept everything in check?
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
Because you have to program stuff in the tracker. So whereas the modular is generally more improvised, the tracker, you get out what you put into it, like any other sequencer-based thing. So
I think it suits your sound. It was still you, but it had a bass line, and it had a kick drum, and it had things that were recognisable as instruments.
Yeah, absolutely. Well.
But that, believe me, that is a compliment. It's just having spent quite a bit of time with your music this year. It was just a different flavour, different version of you, I think.
Yeah, consciously different. But it's it's how I used to make music. So I started off with things like Machine and some of the Electron samplers. So it's how I used to make music. So it's quite interesting coming back to that after a couple of years diving into modular and it's. You kind of take bits of what you've learned to something to do with
it sounds well. Yeah. I liked it. I liked it very much.
Well,
I liked the tempo as well. Yeah.
It was the whole thing just felt beautifully structured to me. And again, that might be the PULS8 tracker. I don't know. But anyway, we'll come on to that in a minute. And now it's this is the award we got taken away from us. But anyway, so we won't mention that again. And I know I haven't paid the expenses yet. I'll sort that out next weekend. It'll be fine. So anyway, this is
Andy's Gear Geek Corner.
What does that knob do?
Oh, it is, and it's with Rob with his PULS8 tracker. Right, come on, Rob, get your PULS8 tracker out.
Well, actually, it's over there.
Oh.
I can't see it.
Do you want to see it?
Oh, is it that black box?
I'll go get it.
This isn't good radio. We can't see it, Rob. Rob, we can't see it.
He's now actually left the microphone, vanished across the other side of the room.
That was good for radio, wasn't it? Me shuffling across the room with my dodgy
No, it was terrible radio.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that, everybody.
Nice shiny.
That is lovely. It is nice. Sorry, I will let you do your interview, Andy. I've wanted one of those for ages, just because it's got lots of buttons and a nice screen.
Well, Rob will be selling it in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably will, actually. No, I won't. I'm going to keep this.
Has anybody else brought beer? Or is it just me?
I've got tea.
Oh, dear. I haven't got any crisps this week, though. Anyway, sorry, go on, Andy.
Rob, what is the PULS8 tracker?
PULS8 tracker is, I guess essentially it's a sampler, but with a tracker sequencer built into it.
Right.
So I think a lot of people are probably familiar with trackers the first time around on things like the Amiga and Commodore.
Wasn't it software? Wasn't it start off as software?
Yes, it's like it's different to normal sequencing. It's like a kind of vertical based sequencing rather than kind of left to right. XOX box type sequencing. So yeah, it looks a bit like an Excel spreadsheet in terms of how information kind of flows down the page. But yeah, it goes from top to bottom rather than from left to right. But yeah, it's a sampler basically. So it's got hasn't got a synth engine in there. It's got no instruments in there as such. Yeah, you sample stuff, load samples into it, and then use the sequencer to kind of arrange your parts and arrange your songs.
So how many? So is there something like a song mode? How many voices can you have going at once? Things like that.
So you can have.
How can you stack it? How does that work?
Yeah, so you've got 8 tracks in it, but each step can be something different. So the maximum pattern length, I think, is 128 steps, and each of those steps could have a different sample on it. And not only a different sample, but each of those steps could have 2 different kind of parameters. They call it effects, but it's not effects in a traditional sense like a delay or reverb. Effects could be a roll, it could be reversing the sample, it could be adding distortion, it could be changing the cutoff. There is delay and reverb in there, so you could do it. So every single step can have a different sample and 2 different effects on it.
So rather than, I mean, because I come from Electron land, and rather than assigning a sample to a track, you can actually assign a sample to a hit.
Yeah.
If you like.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you can also, it's also got an inbuilt slicer in it, so if you take like a drum break, so I shoved some stuff in there where I'd sampled like drum loops from the modular, and you can basically slice it up into 8, 16, whatever. I think you can pick any number you want really, but then each step on just one of your tracks can assign a different slice to it. So yeah, and you can either program that, or it's got a fill option where you can basically go, right, for the 64 steps in my track, I want you to randomly assign a different slice, a different effect, a different note on that track. So you can just create these. I mean, you can program stuff like you normally would, but then you can kind of. I think the reason I like it's a bit like modular. There's an element of random to it because you can kind of ask it to create that randomness for you, and then work with that, take bits out, or put other bits in. And you can do that on each of the 8 tracks. And then it has got song mode as well, so you can. In the song mode, you can basically just assign your patterns to it, and then. Yeah, like first pattern might just be your kick and snare, and then bring in the bass or whatever else you want to do with your arrangement. So, and that's actually what I use for the Rye point tune. So rather than what I'd usually do, which is perform tracks live, much like yourself, this was actually programmed and structured, and actually use the song mode within the tracker to do it.
So, sorry, Andy, just a really quick question. So, are you limited on the number of samples that you're able to bring in there?
I think. Each project can have 48 samples within it.
For the whole project. So that's the next question really was, are you limited to the number of samples per track if you were able to do it per, almost per step, is it, in the track that you're doing?
Well, it's 48 samples in total, and I can't remember what the time limit is. It hasn't got a huge amount of memory, so it's not. You wouldn't use it for like long loops or long kind of. It's not like the Opta track where you could have like a 5-minute long stem and sequence that. You're doing. I tried some of those Heimbach samples you sent Andy in it, and some of those are too long. Some of the ones that were over a minute, you couldn't kind of use those in it. But yeah,
you can chop those up. You can take a little chunk of those. Can't you?
But not in the box. You'd have to do that outside the box. So 30, 40
seconds.
You can slice those and do those within. Anything longer than that, it didn't want to play with those. So so it's not be no good for loops, but it's similar to the Digitact really, in that there's no kind of time stretch option. You can't. I guess you could use a loop if it was exactly the BPM of your project, but it's meant for one shots and arranging those, and doing stuff with slicing the samples up and that kind of thing.
The way I get around I know it's not my geek, but while we're on the subject, the way I sort of time stretch is by changing the pitch of the sample so it either plays faster or slower.
Yeah.
But then again, you've got pitch issues. Then sometimes you can drop lucky, sometimes you.
It'd be very similar in this. Talking of pitch, one of the really cool effects, and track I'm working on at the moment, is you can change the tempo of the pattern mid-pattern. So
Right.
you can assign.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
so you can assign an effect. So say on step, I don't know, 16, you could reduce the speed of the pattern by 50%, play the pattern at 50% for 8 steps, and then bring it back up to normal speed again. So you can kind of get these.
Can you be selective over what you chain? Can you don't have to. It's not like a universal.
Yeah, it is
tempo.
universal. It'll do it across all the. I've not tried it actually by putting the tempo thing on different tracks overlapping each other.
That would be really cool if you could drop the tempo of some things and not the others. That would be.
I don't know. There's some things that affect all the tracks, and there's other things that just affect the track you're actually programming. But
right.
The other thing that's ace in it's got a perform mode as well. So the screen's not actually a touch screen, so the screen's just a display. So that took me a while because I was trying to tap stuff on it. But you can basically, the 4x8 grid below, you can assign to each one of the verticals, you can assign an effect and then put different values for that effect. So say you're doing a filter cut off, you could do 25%, 50%, 80%, 100%. And then each of the knobs then, each of the buttons basically would apply that level of filter to the tracks that you select above. So you've got this performance mode where you can basically just completely mash up and remix. You can do beat repeats.
Because that was going to be one of my questions. Well, that was going to be one of my questions. Was how would it perform in a live setting? Would you trust it? Do you think it's something that you could take out live?
Totally. So just messing with it, you can see from that perform screen. You can access all your patterns. You could play pattern 1 from 7 tracks and then cycle another track through patterns 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. You can apply the effects, you can mute things, you can bring stuff in and out, you can do the whole thing from within the kind of the perform screen. I don't know how much you probably have to load different projects in between tracks, so it's not like I don't you could have I don't know how long you could perform within one project. If I had to guess, you probably get about 15-20 minutes, I reckon, if you absolutely maxed it out within one project.
Right.
But
cool.
But yeah, the load times aren't bad either.
So what about connectivity? Does it play nicely with other bits of kit, or not really?
I've not tried it actually. So it's got MIDI. You can sequence MIDI from it.
Right.
I don't have any other MIDI gear, so.
Right.
I've not tried that. I've got a MIDI interface into the modular, which I will try at some point. But the main point of it is to use something different to the modular for me. So it's quite.
Yeah.
It's really well made. It's proper chunky kind of metal on it, but it's quite light, and you can power it from a USB battery. So you don't need a power supply. You just chuck in a USB-C cable and a USB battery pack and take it wherever you want to go. So. So yeah, but you can sequence other stuff with it. I've seen some people doing that.
A couple of weeks ago, we had Andy Darrant on, and he brought up quite an interesting concept, something I'd like to ask you. If you could give it a Jean-Michel Jarre flashing lights rating, 1 to 10, how would you
Jean-Michel
rate the flashing lights?
The flashing lights in it.
That's the most complicated question ever.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give it 7.
7.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Oh, in that case, I misunderstood the question. I'm sorry. I thought you were trying to ask him to try and describe his answer in lights. That's what I was like. What's on earth? How is he going to do that on radio? I was like, how's this?
Definitely blue. I'll give it a colour. Blue.
I was just asking him. I was asking him to rate the Las Vegasness of his machine. That's all.
Vegasness of it. Yeah.
Do you know we'll do a jingle for that.
You know the Arturia Drum Brute Impact that I have a love-hate relationship with? That has what's known as a Las Vegas mode. No. So you can switch on Las Vegas mode, and it's just like lights. Or you can turn it off, and it's nothing.
If you want gear with a light show, the Roland. Do you remember, Jules? When I used to have all the Roland era stuff, and
I hate the light show on that.
After a certain amount of time, the screensaver would come on. So at one point, I had the MX1, the TR8, and what was the keyboard thingy? I can't remember.
Yeah, the System 1.
System 1. So if they all had their screensaver on at the moment, it was like Las Vegas in my...
Oh, but it was horrible. It was like a wave of light that went across it.
Yeah.
In a real...
Like a fruit machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, people were
It was
keen,
so
really,
tacky.
Yeah.
It was for such a beautiful piece of equipment, they put a really tacky screensaver.
You could turn it off, but as anyone who's tried to use Roland's instructions on stuff will tell you, it took some...
The thing is, though, I've got the IRA TB3, and that has no light show.
That doesn't have
all.
it. No, that doesn't have it, no. That's quite small and inoffensive.
Yeah.
Do you feel shortchanged with that, Andy?
Well, now I know that every other IRA has some kind of light show, then yeah, of course I do.
Oh, again, fascinating radio. We've got another great song coming up.
I was happy to carry on then.
I know
I was in the zone with that.
We've got a superb one coming up here. This is Def Neon with Kid. So just give us a bit of background on this one, Andy.
Def Neon, Ace. Bit different for us, but not different for us either. They're sort of like they're a band, boy-girl band, girl bass player, singer, boy electronics and guitar. It's sort of rock. Well, they're on their Bandcamp site. It says it's rock, electro, a bit of rock, bit of electro, bit of synth pop.
Yeah.
But I love it. I when I played a couple of gigs at the Carlton Tavern in Hanbridge in Chester, I've been on the same bill as Def Neon a couple of times. So I've known of them and known them for a little bit now. And they've got a new album out, and this is off the new album.
Well, if the rest of the album's anything like this, it's going to be superb because I just loved it, and it was like an 80s ballad until 2 minutes and 6 seconds, and then disco. It just went real disco crazy, a proper 1985 disco song. It was brilliant.
Do you know what though? They're absolutely brilliant live.
Really?
What you can hear on this recording is pretty much what you get live. They really can play. They're really good live.
Well,
yeah,
I was genuinely.
Oh, sorry, Jules.
Go on, Rob.
No, I was going to say
they've been on Modulate, haven't they,
did
Rob?
a video for Modulate in the summer, and that was obviously a live recording of them doing it, and it was absolutely spot on. It's quite hard to bring loads of energy to a video performance, but they managed it, and I love the vocals in it. I think vocals are pretty special, really. So yeah.
Yeah. And I remember that now, Rob, as well. But I was genuinely smiling all the way through this. It was just brilliant. It's really emoted lots of old memories, and in a really great way. It's just a classic piece of pop culture. So anyway, should we have a listen?
Yeah.
This is Def Neon with Kid. I don't know, Assad drinking an umbongo.
Only Human Radio.
Broken hearts were mended. confused kid.
That was Deaf Neon. Kid, what a great song. How good was that, Rob?
It is.
That was awesome.
Hey.
Do you know what I heard as well, Jules, in there?
What did you hear in there?
I don't bring up the controversy again after last week, but there was a hint of some panpipes at the start of it.
I couldn't agree with you more. I didn't want to bring it up. I thought Andy would be angry with me.
Well, he wasn't happy last week, was he? So
I am angry with you. Again, I'm angry with you both now.
not acid panpipes this time, but definitely a hint of
Just
something.
Just panpipes?
Yeah, not the pan-fried ones. Just panpipes. Yeah, I did. I'm glad you said that, Rob, because I did spot a little bit of that in there as well. But I'm not taking away from anything. That was a superb song again.
It's on their new album. It's called War Beats, and it's coming out on 27th of November. You can get, I believe, the download, and I think there's a CD as well. So you can get that from Bandcamp.
I did know, and again, I wrote down stylophone on that as well. I don't know whether it actually was a stylophone, and certainly not a Rolf Harris edition, but I did write down stylophone on that. There is a sound of a I know you're unhappy with me, Andy. There is a sound of a stylophone in the background there somewhere. I don't know whether it is a stylophone. I'm just saying. It's just what I heard.
Right.
I can only tell the truth.
I think. Can I do a Rob now?
What, are you going to get
Hang
another
on.
toffee?
He's
Where's he gone now? He's gone.
He's finally done it to him, Jules.
He's coming back with boxing gloves or something. Oh, is that actually... You're telling me that's a stylophone?
Yes.
Can you play that right now?
No, there's no batteries.
Oh, that's a real shame.
Maybe
a
next
classic.
week I will play my
Please do.
That's a
stylophone.
vintage one, that as well, isn't it?
That is,
It
because they
is,
brought out a
yeah.
new one, didn't they?
Yeah.
Without
I-
the Rolf Harris name on it.
I've got the stylophone drum machine somewhere.
Oh, have you?
In my son's cupboard somewhere. They brought out a stylophone beatbox about 6 years ago, and I've got that as well. It's absolutely awful. It's terrible.
Get it synced up with the monotribe and
It goes like that. It's terrible.
You can do Gear Geek. Excuse me, you can do Gear Geek with that, Andy.
All right.
Right, we probably ought to get on some more tunes, really.
Yeah.
This is... I love Teeth Crack. Absolutely
Me too.
love Teeth Crack. Every single song I love. And this is a very different tone from Teeth Crack.
It is.
So this is Bright Falls.
I think it's ace. Any time he puts something out, it's like, oh, stick it on, listen to it, because it's always going to be something different, something fresh, something new from him.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm dead glad we've got. The minute I saw that, I can't remember. I think he just posted it. I don't think he put it on Only Human, but I think he just posted it on his just Facebook page.
Oh, really?
And I was like, right, I'm having that. So I contacted him. Can we have it? Yes. It was sort of like, yeah, brilliant. Love it.
Well, we're only allowed to use it once an episode, and I've written down soundscape for this one. Because it is a cinematic soundscape. You really do you feel like you're in a horror movie somewhere or something. Listen to this. It's just brilliant.
It's much more. It's more melodic than some of these other stuff. Some of those just, I mean, kind of really quite kind of dark. Some of his music, but this was, it was different for his. I think. I mean, the percussion's always brilliant in everything he does, but it's quite kind of dreamy.
See, I really like the dark stuff as well, though. I mean, that's my favourite stuff. And then Andy mentioned that this one was coming up, and it was a much lighter, very different piece. And I was thinking, oh, crikey, I hope I'm still going to like it in the same way. But I do, but in a different way, because there's still something dark and sinister about it. It's a beautiful tune, but there's a little twist in there.
Can I panpipe this? I'm not saying it sounds like panpipes, but I don't want to be controversial, but you know the chords at the start of it. It sounds a bit like an 80s electric piano that you might hear on a Whitney Houston type song. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear any Whitney Houston in there, no.
No, that piano, 80s piano sound, but super distorted. If you really listen, you can hear that sort of... oh, God. Anyway, I think I'm on my own with this.
I'll go back and listen, because the panpipes took 2 listens, so we'll go back and check.
Well, that's true. It did take people a while to get to the panpipes. That is true.
Try and clear out all of the distortion around those initial chords, and you can hear a very sort of soulful 80s soulful electric piano type sound as the source. I'm absolutely convinced.
Well, this is why, because there's a sinister edge to this, but there's a lightness and a sweetness to it in places as well. That's why I wrote down Idi Amin drinking a Panda Pop. Maybe that was just me. Should we have a listen?
Yeah.
Teeth crack, bright falls. Teeth crack, bright falls. I tell you what, there was a little sinister twist. Did you spot it in the last about 3 or 4 seconds in that? It's just like a little... And he does that a couple of times. There's a couple of other songs where he just in the last few seconds, he pops a little something in to make you go, ooh, that's unnerving.
Do you know that the sound at the start as well? It makes me feel slightly queasy. It's sort of like when you've realised something that
I know exactly.
When you wake up on you wake up on a Monday, but you still think it's a Sunday, and then you realise it's a Monday, and then you get that sort of kind of anyway. Yeah, that's what I thought.
And you're in Bristol, and you're supposed to be in Chester. and you've lost your trousers again.
Yeah.
Is that the thing?
Happens all the time. Yeah, and that's the sound I hear when it happens. Yeah.
Well, it was lovely. I genuinely enjoyed that. I could listen to anything by Teeth Crack, but
me
that
too.
was something unusual and
Solid.
different from Teeth Crack. Now, I know we shouldn't have favourites, but that's my favourite of the night. That really is fantastic. Right, but we're moving on to something extra special now. So we've got Equinoxx, Solomon is a Cup. But this is special, and do you know why? It's because it's Andy's Master Blaster.
Time for tea.
Mum, I'm doing a jingle. Isn't it, Andy?
It is. And I'm not going to go on too much about this one. I've chosen this because I love it. I love this band and I love it. I love what it stands for. I've got a vague, passing interest in Jamaican dancehall music. It is vague and it is very passing. I'm just attracted to it. I don't know much about it. But Equinoxx, the band that we're about to play, they kind of typify the sort of left field movement in dancehall music at the moment. This isn't a typical. This isn't typically them, and it isn't typically dancehall. But this is just something that I think I love. It's off their last album, Eternal Children, and it's called Solomon is a Cup, and it's just ace.
It really is ace, and there was almost 3 parts to this. So it started, and I wasn't 100% sure what to expect. So the first minute was beautiful, it was lovely, and then about a minute in, a rap started. Right, okay, I got this now. And then a bit further on, a different rap started. I thought, all right, okay, this is going a different direction again altogether. And it was just awesome but the whole thing flowed perfectly, amazingly.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, though, they're very experimental. But if you do get a chance to listen to the album, then there's a track called Manchester, there's a track called Brooklyn, and they're far more upbeat and a bit more typical of what you might expect from dancehall. But it's always got this sort of dark edge, very sort of mystical element to it, which is wonderful. I love it. Absolutely fantastic.
How did you find it, Rob?
There's something about the vocal that reminded me of some tricky stuff. I can't remember the singer that used to sing with him. You know, they used to almost...
Yeah, she had a double-barrelled name, didn't she? I can't remember.
Yeah, some Topley... Was it something Topley? I can't remember. But anyway, the way they used to almost sort of kind of trade the vocals, it had that kind of... Yeah, there's a bit of that kind of Bristol-y kind of trip-hop kind of sound to it that it brought out for me. But... yeah, but and once again, I mean, percussion in this just hits so hard. I mean, it's quite kind of minimal, but so well used. I thought, I love this. Yeah, great choice.
Oh, have you looked it up, Andy?
No, I gave up.
Oh, fair enough. I was just thinking that I feel actually bad sullying this with a can of pop and a dictator, because it just doesn't feel right, because this is just too good to do that to. I'll do it anyway. Colonel Gaddafi drinking a can of Monster, because it's what the kids are doing. But let's have a listen to Equinoxx, Solomon is a Cup.
From the nether regions of a dumb dungeon, I traveled on a dark road with dragon's blood and Aki pods on my white buck. I parked in the lot and boarded. The coach then succumbed to an active massage of dogs and branches falling from the mountain's top. Emmanuel, 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 Emmanuel. Emmanuel I, Emmanuel I, Emmanuel I, Emmanuel. Emmanuel I, Emmanuel I, Emmanuel I, Emmanuel. Emmanuel I, Emmanuel I, Emmanuel I, Emmanuel. This world just makes me sick. 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 This boy just makes me sick. This boy just makes me sick. This girl just makes me sick. This girl just makes me sick.
What I speak is no abuse, sound right reasoning taught by Tehuti. Amubi, the hermetics of Hermes. The law of the universe navigates us on our journeys. I came here giving you all what you want so you can learn to want what I have to give. Now it's full time for the world, get up off their brains and find out who Horus really is. Came here as the Tammuz, don't be confused. Who you know as the Christ, the consciousness is so megalithic, unpredictable like rolling dice. Prepare yourself. Your time and feasting on greatness, obtaining knowledge is to be fixed. Prepare yourself for the X, it's all in the mix. It's in your DNA, helix. My father, supreme being, Osiris. Seated with my mother, goddess, who is Isis. Horus is son of the supreme at the crisis. And Gabriel, the holy soul, recognize this. My collective memory, recall knowledge, priceless. The guru and the soul fats, no see your life this. Cherub and the seraphims, Aluums, the Halloweens. Horror appointed by the Almighty. With my might, I'm uplifting the quadiety. Full time for the world, know who the real Messiah be. Tell it to them. Bamba Clara, ready. Pick me up. Tell it to them, how we got the secrets. Hey, man, that's up. Bamba Clara, let me go ahead and finish off for the first one, then, man, we don't mix it, man.
Only Human Radio.
Solomon is a cup. That really was. What a master blaster that was. You do pick them, to be fair, Andy.
There is a little bit of a theme because I'm sort of can't quite get over the fact that there's all these wonderful pockets all across the globe that are making their own flavours of electronic music. You know, I grew up believing that electronic music came from Sheffield, but quite clearly it doesn't. It comes from other places as well.
Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah.
But it was amazing, and thank you so much for letting us play that Equinoxx. That was an absolute delight for us all to listen to, and hopefully we can play another one of yours again soon, because that really was unusual and brilliant, all combined into one.
I'm virtually friends with them now, Jules. I'm just waiting to be invited over.
Yeah, it's not what they think, but you know, as long as you're happy, Andy, that's the main thing, isn't it?
It's only teams.
It's like that lady in India you were nearly stalking. Who was that? A couple of weeks ago.
Sun Dunes.
You're going to go on a world stalking tour.
World stalking tour and his wheelbarrow.
Andy's world stalking tour.
Hello. I messaged you.
It was going, oh God, it's him. What, him? Yeah, him. Yeah, him. Oh, bloody hell. Yeah, we heard about him from Equinoxx. Yeah, I know.
It's that red-faced man from Chester.
Right, we've got another belter coming up. What? Is this our last song?
Yeah.
Where's that time gone? Well, it's probably gone a lot longer for everybody else, but it's gone quite quickly for me anyway.
Oh, I don't know.
But we have got a cracker to end off with it once again. It's Lifeform Lullaby. So where did you get this from?
Dominic Lightfoot. He's again. There's an association with Dominic, and again, it's the Colton Tavern. A few years ago, before we met you, brilliant guys in North Wales, and we started to create this fabulous community of network or whatever you want to call it of electronic musicians. There was me and Dave in Chester, and there was a time where me and Dave didn't know each other. So there was an event on at the Carlton Tavern, and Dominic Lightfoot helped to put it together, which was a collection of sort of local electronic musicians, me and Dave, and some DJs, which was Dominic Lightfoot and his pals, and it went under the name of Future Sounds. Dominic, I'm really getting boring now, but
it's fascinating. Andy.
But Dominic actually makes music under his own name, which is Lifeform, and this is his latest piece of music. It's called Lullaby. I think it's a very personal piece of music to him.
Well, again, oh God, you see, that's the trouble. As soon as you say something like that, if I'm going to try and say anything even slightly amusing, it makes me feel like a bad person then. And I'm not trying to be amusing with this, but he's no relation to Gordon Lightfoot, is he?
No.
As in...
I don't think so.
If You Could Read My Mind, you know that song?
No.
You don't know Gordon Lightfoot, If You Could Read My Mind?
Go on, sing
honestly.
It. Yeah.
If you could read my mind, love. That song. No? Go and listen to it. It's a beautiful song. If you don't cry at that song, you've got no heart, Andy.
I just haven't heard it.
Just saying that. That's all. That's all.
It's the first thing I'm going to do when I get off this amazing ride that we're on.
Oh, what a ride it is. But there's a really nice pad that starts this whole song off as well. It's a beautiful pad that actually starts it off. It'd be really interesting to know what
he did say. He has sent it to us.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
I'll find out, and I'll mention it after we've played the song.
Oh yeah, brilliant.
I've got some technical information from Dominic, but I do know
nearly to hand.
I do know that it does include the heartbeat of his unborn child in there as well. So that is why it's a very, very very sort of personal. Here we go. The pads were made in Citrus, the Hypersaw preset, made softer and quantized to have a less abrasive feel. There we go. I did have the information.
Well, now you've said that his unborn child's heartbeat's in there, it is impossible for me to use the dictator that I've got written down, so I cannot actually say that.
Can I also say, this is an exclusive. This has not been played anywhere else before.
Oh, really?
This is the first time this has been heard. We've got this before anybody else.
Well, I'll leave the dictator out. I'll just put the drink in. It was a Vimto, because that is my favourite drink, and it's fruity bubbly, and I'm happy every time I have it. So, and I've listened to this song twice now, and it's one of those songs that genuinely makes you smile. It's just such a brilliant, bubbly. I knew
you'd
song.
like this one. I just had a feeling that you'd like this one.
It's a positive song. I like positive stuff. I mean, I like dark stuff like Teeth Crack as well, but I do really enjoy a nice positive beat. And this was it just felt warm, nice, lovely. The whole thing.
Have you heard it, Rob? Rob,
I have. Yeah.
I
did. I think there's something about Future Sound London that kind of came to me when I was listening to this. So I've not listened to them for years and years and years. But
sort of like the Cascade stuff they did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I listened to a lot of that with my dear friend Chris at university. But yeah, there's just something that the way that Future Sound music kind of almost kind of floated in its kind of own space.
Yeah.
Especially the start of it.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's have a listen to the beautiful bubbly sounds, the beautiful pad at the beginning. This is Lifeform, Lullaby.
Only Human Radio.
That was Lifeform, Lullaby. What a beautiful, amazing piece of music that was.
Yeah, gorgeous, lovely.
It's
coming out on Neon Krishna Records on the 30th of November.
Oh, really?
So we've heard it a good 12 days ahead of the release. So you heard it here first, folks.
Can I get a whoop whoop?
Can you do what?
Can I get? That's what the kids do, Andy. Can I get a whoop whoop? And then you're supposed to go whoop whoop.
No, you
My
can't.
kids do it. It's fair enough.
You can't have one of those.
And that's a point bloody well made, if I might say so.
I don't think you've deserved one this evening. A whoop whoop.
Didn't you do our top rundown of the 7 songs we've had this evening?
All right then. Okay, so we kicked off with Primitive System, The Inverted, our mate Yakko from Stockholm. Number 2, we had Dave Julian and Amos, Taboo. Just what they call collectively?
Synchronicity. Synchronicity.
Okay, all right. Number 3 is Rye Point by our mate Rob, aka Etchasketch.
With a little bit of Welsh in there.
Yeah, we had a lovely chat with Rob about the Poly-N tracker. Then fourth tune, Def Neon Kid off their new album War Beats. Number 5 is the awesome Unstoppable Teeth Crack. Number 6 was the Master Blaster, which is Equinoxx. Solomon is a Cup. Go check out their Eternal Children album on Bandcamp. It's brilliant. And then last we had an exclusive play of Lifeform's Lullaby on Neon Krishna Records.
What a lineup that was. That was amazing.
Yeah, really good.
I'm very sorry about the Dictators tonight. It was Andy's idea. I said to Andy at the beginning of the night, it was a bad idea. We shouldn't do it. And he was insisting. Right.
I think it's that new Dictators top trumps he's been banging on about, Jules. I think it's... it
could be. It's got into the back of his mind.
They are a major influence on most of my life choices. I always think, what would Gaddafi do? Something like that.
What would a princess do? Did your kids not have those books? Mine did.
No.
So if anything bad happened, what would a princess do? Maybe it was just me. Shall we leave that there? And perhaps we won't do the comparative things next week. Maybe we'll leave that feature there. Who knows, Gary Newman might turn up again. Hopefully not. I think everybody's hoping not.
Can we do cheese one week? I know that you just said we won't do the comparative thing, but I've been waiting for cheese.
Let's do cheese next
time. I've been looking forward to cheese a lot.
I'd also like, if I could put in a request, for Jules to compare it to some of the novelty ales he's had on tap at Sheldon's.
Oh, now! Absolutely. And anybody who mentions one when they come in can get a 10% discount. How's that sound?
I can't. Yeah, but I can't come to Sheldon's. So.
Oh yeah. Well, neither can anybody else. Don't worry.
I'm coming on Saturday.
Oh, you are? I believe I saw you booking in there, Rob. Yeah. Again, fascinating radio. Well,
nice to come and actually do a show there, rather than just come for a drink. However nice it is, but one day, we might be able to modulate again. Hey, Jules, wouldn't that be?
Well, that would be wonderful.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It would, and again, it'd be great to see people live again for a change. But again, as we say each week, thank you so much to everybody who's put their music in tonight. We know how much time, how much effort goes into producing this stuff because we do it ourselves. Some of us considerably better than others. Rob, thank you very much for your song, talking about considerably better than others. It was amazing. Thank you for your chat. Thank you for the Gear Geek. Andy, thank you as always being the level head that keeps everything together and makes sure things don't go wildly out of control. You didn't do a very good job of it this week, but you know.
No, not really.
Thanks for having me.
I try my best to try and sort of, try and keep the subject of music a bit relevant throughout,
Well, you try. I've got to say, you did.
It's not easy.
No, I'm sure it isn't. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. I hope there was parts of it that you enjoyed, and I hope it wasn't too tortuous. We'll see you again soon. Andy, do you want to do the big goodbye?
Goodbye, everybody.
Oh, slightly camp. I'll give you 9.2.
Rob? Thank you.
Adios, amigos.
Short and sharp. 9.5. Cheerio.
Only Human Radio.